Hello and welcome to this video review. Today I'm going to talk about the Ranger 4 to 16 by 56 rifle scope produced by Steiner. For all of you who are into this rifle scope topic, you probably know that Ranger rifle scopes from Steiner are one of the most successful rifle scope this company produces. The whole thing started in 2012, I think, when Steiner decided to produce rifle scopes. Before that time, they were the biggest producer of binoculars in Europe, at least after the 91. Before that time was Siena. But if I just say a couple of words of the Steiner company, they were formed in 1947. They mostly produced binoculars. Later, they became a part of Beretta Group. And ever since 2012 they're also producing rifle scopes. They're really successful also with the tactical rifle scopes, but in the hunting segment the Ranger, the first generation of Ranger in 2017 changed everything. Now in 2021 the refreshed series of Ranger 4 came out, and at the beginning they didn't produce this model. So this model came out now in 2022, so 1 year afterwards, because they said at the beginning that everybody who wishes to have a high magnification scope will buy 6 to 24 by 56, which they also produce. But that's not true, because there are people who will say 3 to 12 is not enough and 6 to 24 is too much. I'm one of them, honestly speaking. The scope is typical Steiner, very well made. It is priced at 1,149 euros. I would say a really competitive price point. They're killing it with this price. It's fog-proofed, purged with nitrogen, 30mm tube. At the moment, no rail option, I think, unfortunately. It works all the way down to 25 degrees Celsius and 65 on the upper side. It has a parallax adjustment with special marks on 100 meters, and it has an illuminated reticle also on this side turret. All in all, the scope weighs around 680 grams and it's almost 38 centimeters long. Really long scope, normally because of the 4 to 16 times magnification. It's made in USA and it comes with 10 years warranty. Why it's made in USA? Because, like I mentioned, the Steiner, it's a part of Beretta Group, and Beretta also owns Burris and some other American brands. So for these affordable scopes, they are producing them in the USA. If I go to the next segment, I would say the Reticle. The Reticle is in the second focal plane, like with all Ranger series, and it has a little bit different illumination than Ranger 6 and Ranger 8. Both of them have a optical fiber inside of the reticle, the same like the first generation of Rangers had. But this one, it has a floating dot and has a different technology for the illumination. That means that the reticle is not really daytime bright, but at the same time you see no internal reflections on them when the illumination is set, and it's also a little bit finely adjustable on the lower sides. So when you have a really low light situation, you can adjust the illumination of the reticle really nicely. I forgot to mention that in the box you're getting the manual, the cleaning cloth, and the bikini lens covers. Okay, if you go to the turrets, they're capped, but there is an option that you're able to buy a BDC turret for this Ranger 4 series. You can find it on our webpage. And the turrets they're nice. The clicks are crisp, also audible. Nothing unusual, nothing special, but they work really well. And with this, when you remove this cap, you're able to reset them so that the zero shows at 0. The turrets have no zero stop normally, and they're multi-turn in their construction. Again, something what I would say is quite understandable for this price point. It's a nice addition that you're able to buy as an accessory the BDC turrets. So the internal elevation of this scope is only 70 centimeters and 100 meters. This is really not much, and the clicks are 1 centimeter, so 7 mils of elevation only. Also, I would say use a 20 MOA mounts with this scope, but then again it can happen that you will have problems zeroing it. So it's 10 MOA would be perfect, but there are not a lot of producers who do 10 MOA scope mounts. Now if you talk about the optics, so the optics is, if you're looking for a best performing scope in a 1000 euros price class, this is probably it. So it's clear, the colors are true, the field of view is quite nice, it's 10 meters at 100 meters, and this for a 1000 euros scope is really good, because even if you look at twice as expensive scopes, let's say Ranger 8, in Ranger 8 you have a 4 to 32 by 56 model and has the same field of view as this one. So basically for a 1000 euro scope, 10 meters is more than enough of field of view. You don't expect something more. The light transmission rate is around 90%, they say, even though, you know, light transmission rate is a graph, because you have to have the values of light transmission rate at each wavelength, so it's not a single number like they say, but I would say on average it's more than 90%. And at least when we tested the 3 to 12 by 56 model, it was the best performing scope in the 1000 euros segment. You can also check our low light rifle scopes buying guide, and you will see that we pointed that scope out as a best buy in 1000 euros price class. I believe that this is very similar, because I don't think there is much difference between 3 to 12 and this 4 to 16. Well, the main difference is the parallax, and maybe the parallax setting system takes a little bit of light off, but still. Okay, I think I came to the part of the review where I go through sweet and sour, and then I will talk a little bit about the competition. So what is sweet with this scope? Definitely the build quality, the optical performance. The optical performance is really outstanding for 1000 euros price class, and also the magnification range. There is not many competitors, because, you know, Zeiss doesn't produce 4 to 16, they only produce 3 to 12. What I also like with this scope is, in terms of optical performance, is the low light performance. At least from the 3 to 12 model, it's really great. Also, what is a big plus is the addition that you're able to buy BDC turret for it. Okay, what could have been done better? There is no zero stop, so this is something what can be a little bit problematic if you are dialing a lot of clicks and you don't know in which revolution you are in. I also think that BDC turret, it's made out of plastic, it's really cheap on this Ranger 4 models, it works, but still there something would be made. And normally I would prefer if this scope would be made in Germany, not in the USA, but honestly speaking, when you're using it, you're not thinking about where it's made, but you're thinking how it performs. I also think that illumination itself in this scope, it's perfect for low light, but still they could, instead of choosing when going from Ranger to Ranger 4, when they did this refreshment, they could just finely tuned the illumination system that the previous model had with an optical fiber. But I think that they wanted to cut the costs to really get this optical quality for 1000 euros, so they definitely cut the costs in terms of reticle, and they made it only for low light use. Honestly speaking, a scope like this is nothing wrong with it. Okay, now if we talk about the competition. When you look at 4 to 16, there are not many scopes with this magnification. The only scopes in this price range with similar magnifications are those made in Japan and marketed as GPO, Delta Optical and similar brands in Europe. They are 2.5 to 15 by 56. Those are the equivalent scopes to this one. I would say that this scope outperforms them optically in terms of resolution, color fidelity and low light performance. I also think that because Steiner is so famous for their after-sales services, this is also a big plus compared to these Japanese scopes, because honestly speaking, when you were send this Steiner back in 20 years onwards, they will still probably be able to service it, and with majority of other competitors this will probably not be the case. The only other real competitor which I see to this scope is Ranger 6. Again, much more expensive and so on. But in this 1000 euros price class, there are really not that many competitors, and especially not that many competitors with such a good service and with such optical performance. So my final thoughts, I would say really great scope if you wish to do some long range hunting, but keep in mind that it has only 70 centimeters of travel, so you will need inclination mounts for it if you wish to shoot a little bit further. I also think that it's going to be great for someone who is looking at a scope where at the maximum magnification you're able to see the details a little bit better. You want to judge the trophy better or see the target better. This is something what I think those customers will really like on this scope. And if you're into European premium brands, basically in this price range there is no one offering 16-time magnification. I would say the only real minus with this scope is the elevation range. Everything else for this amount of money is bang on. Last but not least, I hope that Steiner will also bring back the only missing Ranger from the first generation that it's not produced now in the second generation, and that is the 2-8x42 model for stocking. Because I think it was really smart that they came back with this 4-16 model, because for majority of European hunters 6-24 is just too much. And also if you wish to use a clip-on device on a scope, 6-time magnification is too high, so you're not able to use it, but with this one you are. So thank you for watching. I hope you found this review useful, and see you in the next one.